Now I'm with Joe Collier from Eastwood Butchery in Berkhamsted, and Joe's going to take us through a pig carcass and see what kind of cuts we can get. But Joe, isn't it amazing? As a nation, we eat 2 billion quid's worth of pork every year, but only in sort of the popular cuts, don't we really? And really, we should be enjoying so much more pork.
A comment I hear frequently in the shop is, oh, we don't buy pork because it's dry and it's tasteless. And I say, well, you need to be eating pork of this quality, and then you'll really, really see the difference.
And British pork is some of the best pork in the world, isn't it?
Oh, we've got lots of artisan producers growing these fantastic rare breeds up and down the country.
Now the leg, right, straight away you get the leg of pork, and you can imagine when that's cured up, that's a beautiful Christmas ham, isn't it?
Oh,
right,
fantastic.
Beautiful ham there. Yes. Or if it's not cured, as fresh pork, a fantastic roasting joint.
Oh, great crackling.
For good crackling, I make sure that there's a good amount of fat, but I always score the skin.
Yes.
And a high temperature, plenty of salt.
Yep.
And then all that fat bubbles up and you get that crisp crackling.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So that's the leg, okay, so that's the first sort of, we call them the primal cuts, don't we?
Yes.
Often, you know, people think of just the cuts being pork chops or your bacon and sausage, which are all great, but the pig is such a versatile animal. There's so many different cuts, so many things you can do with it. And I really want our nation to get back in love, fall back in love with pork. There we go. Now, what are you doing here now, Joe?
This is the fillet. If it was beef, it'd be fillet steak, traditional fillet steak. Now that is so versatile. It can be used for, you know, cut some little medallions.
So this is the tenderest part of the pork, isn't it? This is the top quality cut.
And the reason that it's so tender is because it lays here underneath the rib cage. It doesn't do any work. It doesn't do any pushing or pulling.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so very, very tender. This is the rump.
Right.
Now this can be tied. It can be tied up as a roast.
So you could tie that there and make a fantastic little roast.
For 3 people, maybe 4 people.
And of course, you can slice straight off, give nice and even little steaks there, but also you can get great crackling. Yes. Or you could cut them for individual steaks as well. Let's have a few steaks off that rump. So what is your marinade you've made there, Joe?
This is based on an Oriental Chinese salt and pepper marinade.
That's a simple marinade there. Now Joe's going to slice it into steaks, but the interesting thing about pork is it goes so well with things like fennel seeds and coriander seeds, goes well with fresh fennel, sage, goes well with chili, lime, lots of different types of fruit as well, and of course one of my favourites is cider. So Joe's cut this beautiful steak there. Now you've taken the shoulder off, huge piece of pork obviously, but you cut that down, but the shoulder, once you cut into it with seed, is one of the best roasting joints. Because for me, it does all the work.
Yes.
It's got a lovely marbling of fat.
Great flavour.
But people always go for legs, don't they? But in fact, I think shoulders.
I would always choose shoulder over leg.
Yeah, isn't it funny? Butchers always choose shoulders.
Shoulder of lamb or shoulder of leg.
Yeah, and it is always the best. Now the pig has disappeared and you're turning it into some fantastic products. What's next?
Well, what we've got here is the belly, which is one of the most underrated cuts on the whole pig.
Look at that. Now you can roll that, can't you?
Yes.
Right, and make a joint. Or you can roast it flat like that. And when you slow roast it, all the fat just disappears and you're left with really tender meat. But of course, if you cured this joint, you put curing salts on.
Yes.
This turns into streaky bacon.
Streaky bacon, yes.
So what do you do with the ribs?
Roast them, barbecue them.
These are some of the cheapest cuts you can get, aren't they?
Yeah. And the best.
Yeah.
Great flavour.
Well, the flavour, because the meat's closest to the bone, wonderful flavour. If I hold this up, this is something that everybody, now you've cut it here, will recognise, won't they? Because that pork chop, isn't it?
But that's the best thing about this is the rib end.
Yeah.
And there again, same as the shoulder, the meat is much sweeter.
But if you cured this again, say you took the bone out, straight away, bacon.
Back bacon.
Bacon as well. So you've got bacon, you can have chops, but also this is an amazing roasting joint, isn't it?
This is.
And what you've done, you've cut a little pocket, and then
Put
you've got
some stuffing in there.
pork mince in here with the stuffing.
Pork mince with sweet red peppers.
Just a little bit of imagination transforms something that's absolutely delicious into something that's spectacular, isn't it? So Joe, there we go. We're starting off with a pig carcass. You bust it up into the primals, all the major joints.
Yes.
We've seen some of the joints that people don't usually eat, but look at all this, the colour and amazement. It's just the tip of the iceberg, just the things you can do.
The versatility of it all.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got traditional sausages, we've got some steaks, you've got wonderful kebabs here, we've got little loins, we've got stuffed joints, we've got racks, all, the whole sort of thing, haven't we, really?
Yeah, you've got the pork boat, the long boat. It's just so versatile and so good.
And I really want people to get involved and do more with pork.
Yes, exactly.
And I think if you go to the website, there's masses of recipes, have a go, and just don't go for the standard, your chops and your legs. They're great, but be adventurous. Go for something different.